Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Danica, and today we're going to be talking the other way. Finally, guys. I'm sorry for the lateness, but anyways, we know we're being bombarded with everything, and it's not going to really slow down, but nonetheless. So I'm going to just be jumping right into the episode, I believe. So there's really nothing to talk about in the top of the episode. Again, the memes from last week have already been posted long before I'm recording this, so you can take part in that for the other way. But prior to us jumping into this episode, I'm going to very quickly talk about the previous week's episode, which was the only thing I want to talk about is the striptease dance from Sarper. Oh my god. What was that? This guy is like dancing and he's supposed to be a stripper or was a stripper at some point because he sucks. It's kind of like the equivalent of like Mike the Situation, who also said he was a stripper, but then he did striptease and it was horrible. This was like previous series, not Family Vacation, but like Jersey Shore. And I'm like, what? Same idea. And so yeah, he's doing the striptease for her, and he is then out of breath for doing a striptease, which apparently he said lasted for 20 minutes. Doesn't matter. And he is out of breath. And then he ends it off by saying, well, I've never gotten hard before for anyone else, just for you. That's supposed to make me feel better. And then automatically, everything's okay. She's like, I forgive him because, like, how can I say mad at him? Are you kidding me? But anyways, that's kind of the only thing I want to talk about because I was dying during that. But yeah, nonetheless, let's jump into the reason that we're here, The Other Way, Season 5, Episode 14, Be-Hitched. Kimberly and TJ. It's now day 1 of the wedding ceremony. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. And we find out from TJ that there's going to be over 200 guests at the wedding. There will be a lot kind of going on. He talks about the different kind of vendors and stuff like that will be showing up. So then we see Kim, and she is going to be doing Mendi, which is basically, they explain is the henna that they do on your arms as well as your feet. And she says that, listen, she's like, I'm in a shitty mood. Literally. She says that she did her pants, poor thing. And she says, I got up early, 1 point for me. And she says, I go to the bathroom, and she felt like, as she's going to the bathroom, she had to fart, she says. And instead of farting, she actually shit her pants on her wedding. Day 1 of her wedding. My lord. So she's doing the Mendi and ceremony, and she says no one around her speaks English. She feels very lonely. Her parents are going to be late in showing up, so she's kind of on her own right now. And TJ's mom kind of comes in, and she's like trying to say like what's wrong, but she doesn't understand what she's saying. And even if she did, like, Kim can't explain to her because she doesn't speak Hindu, so they can't talk to each other. So then TJ comes, and she tells him that she shit her pants. And he's just hoping that she can be more positive. He doesn't want to have any issues. So yeah, next situation that happens now, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and her parents have shown up. And they're also going to be doing Mendi as well. So she goes to sit down, I guess, for it to dry before they kind of like I think they kind of comes off right away. They take it off once it's dried. And Yash comes to sit down beside her. And they kind of was like, yesterday's conversation, it was important. It was needed. And she says, I know I'm a handful. And I know, sorry. And she says, I'm a handful. And he chuckles and says, yeah. But she says, it did hurt me when you called me stupid because I am a lot of things, but I'm not stupid. And he says, no, you're not. And he apologizes for what he said. And she accepts it. Now, I did want to say, is there anything you want to apologize for, Kimberly? But okay. And then they start laughing. They start laughing together. It was crazy. I was like, oh my God. Whoa. So now it's 8 p.m. And now it's the Angeli, and I know I'm butchering this. And Angeli, we're going to say that. That sounds right. Anyway, it's that ceremony. And basically, what the ceremony is kind of resembles a bridal shower. And the word Angeli, oh, sorry. I don't know, for those that are Hindu and I'm butchering this, he does, it translates to lap. So basically what happens is that people will come and give you gifts on your lap, and it's kind of like filling your lap with gifts. So that's why it's called what it's called. And so she kind of is like, they're handing me things and I take pictures, and then it gets taken away and all of that. So then at one point, someone comes up to her and says, sit on her lap, being his mother. So they says, sit on her lap. And she's like, no, I'm good. Apparently it is actually tradition for the bride to sit on the soon-to-be husband's mother's lap. And this is supposed to signify like a mother-daughter relationship. TJ never told her. And she actually says, like, why didn't you tell me this? Like, I didn't know. And he's like, yeah, no, we didn't tell you. So, anyway, now it is 9 p.m. May I mention, we've been doing this now for 12 hours. It's 9 p.m. And now it is the Sangeet ceremony, which is basically dancing. It's a dance ceremony. So friends and family will dance. And yeah, that's basically what they do. We see Yash dancing. Oh my God, not good. And TJ says the same thing. It's horrible. Not that TJ was much better. He had a little more rhythm, but And so then he says, but he is having fun. So there's at least that. And then TJ wants to dance, and he wants to dance with Kimberly. And she's like, I don't dance. It's kind of like, actually, me just saying that as a high school musical fan. It's kind of like when Ryan wanted, what was his name? Corbin's character to dance. And he's like, I don't dance. And I'm not going to sing the song. But yeah. It's kind of the same idea. So Kimberly is the Corbin of the scenario, and TJ is Ryan, and he's like, let's go dance. And she's like, I don't do this. She's like, the only things that I can do is like weird dance moves where I can like do a weird face. And then she also then does the snap. All I can think about is like that one snap move where you snap your fingers and you kind of lean and you do it the other way, like that dance. For those who didn't actually watch it, it's very similar to, I'm trying to remember like where that's kind of originated. There's one particular song where it actually originated from, but I can't remember which song it was. All I can think about is the Little John song where it's like snap your fingers and then you do the dance. And that's the only thing she can do. which was like 15 plus years ago. But anyway, she's like, I can do that. And I'm like, yeah, everyone can do that. So anyway, so she goes up there and she dances, and he says, like, it's not good. It's not good, but she's trying. And he, after the dance, goes to her parents and says, she's a good dancer. And I said, you're lying. Anyway, so everything's over now. It's 10:30 p.m. and they're hugging and they're kissing. But they have another long day tomorrow. And he says, I hope that she gets lots of sleep because it's not gonna end. We still have one more day, and it's gonna be a lot longer than today. So I wish you all the best of luck. But that's it for TJ and Kimberly for this week. Now we're jumping in with Brandan and Mary. So anyway, the other thing that I actually didn't talk about was, because first of all, Sorber and what's her face wasn't on this episode, but the engagement with Mary and Brandan. Oh my god, what a fucking hot mess that was. First of all, he buys a ring that you got on Amazon. The ring is too big for her. There's nothing to except for I am enough. Like that's not an engagement ring. That could be something that you could have put like on a necklace and she can have it like that. But what? But then to then go to that. And first of all, he never once goes on a knee and asks her to marry him. Get the fuck on your knee. Anyway, but then for her to kind of be like, it's not the right time. What? Mary, you're pregnant. Like, I'm confused. Like, when is the right time? If it's not now, then when? When she said it's not the right time, I'm like, what world am I in right now? Because that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so now we're this week. So we see her talking to her grandma, her grandparents are back, and they do know that she is pregnant. Her grandma is being a little more supportive, but her grandfather, not so much. And her grandma says, though, that her and Brandon have been fighting too much. And Mary says that since the proposal, things have not gotten any better. It's gotten worse. And they have been arguing a lot more. This has been like slamming doors and stuff like that. Like, this has not been good. So then she tells us that morning they got into another huge fight because he had kept the TV volume level at like 100. So we do see a clip of this, and we see her kind of saying to him, can you turn the TV down? It's too loud. And he's kind of like saying something like, I don't understand what he was saying here, but clearly giving her attitude and not just turning the fucking TV down. It was ridiculous. So she said that after this argument, he walked away and now he won't come back. All right. So production then does find him lying down on a hard fucking bench with a pillow. Oh God. And he says that he just felt like he had to get out of there, get out of the environment. And you know, he's tired of the arguments himself. He wants to be happy. And they're not happy, they're just fighting. And he's been out there now for about 2 hours. Or he'll say he'll go out there and stay out there for about 2 hours and then he'll go back. But he says that Mary doesn't like when he does this because the locals can clearly tell he's a foreigner sitting out there on this bench. And like we see them like staring at, whether it's him or the production, I don't know, but they're like staring. We see them doing it. It's kind of comical, actually. But yeah, she doesn't like it. Then we're back with her, and her grandmother says, I think you need to have a conversation with your grandfather, and make sure that he's also a part of it. Brandan's there, and because this is getting bad, and apparently, they are now become scandalous because of these arguments, because the neighbors can hear everything, which I'm confused by, actually. I'm sure they maybe are talking more so about the fact that there's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of shouting. Clearly, we can tell they're having an argument, but what are we arguing about? Because they don't speak, I'm sure, English. I mean, her own grandparents don't speak English. So what are the chances that the neighbors speak English as well? You know what I mean? I mean, like, her friends obviously speak English, so maybe there are people who do, but I'm just... Actually, no, do her friends speak English? Some of them, they do, but not very well, but they do kind of understand. So it's interesting, but nonetheless, I'm sure, like I said, they can hear that there's arguments happening. So, yeah. So then Mary goes and she finds Brandan, and she says, we need to go talk to Grandpa about all the fighting. So let's go talk to him. And he says that he's nervous because he wasn't thinking about the rules when he had sex with Mary and got her pregnant. But now you're so fucking concerned about the rules after the fact. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna break the rules, break the rules. Maybe you shouldn't have broken the rules and gotten her pregnant, though. Like, maybe you could have been like, you know what? Let's fuck. Let's do that. That's fine. But let's not get pregnant. Oh my god. Because at least you can hide having sex more than getting pregnant. You know what I mean? Anyway. So, they do go talk to Grandpa. And first thing Brandan says is he apologizes for the fighting. And he says, how can I be okay with you being pregnant? And we're currently living in a war zone. That's what Grandpa says. And he says that he was hurt when he found out that Mary was pregnant. And he says, we are disgracing ourselves to the neighbors. The neighbors can hear the fighting. So Lolo says, what is going to happen if it continues like this? Your child is going to be affected by this. And Mary, at this particular point, translates to Brandan that he said he is not okay with her being pregnant because of how he shows his attitude, meaning Brandan, to the house. That is not what your grandfather said. Not verbatim, anyways. That's not what he said. She translated it completely incorrectly, which then makes Brandan think of that very incorrectly. But again, what to expect? I don't expect anything differently from Mary. So he says he feels like he's not a good person. He says he's been feeling stress and anxiety. No shit. He's about to become a father and he's not ready to be a father. So that would create some anxiety and some stress. And he says, I will try to be better. It's not going to just happen, though. Because she says, like, well, then do it. Like, it just, just do it. Nike, just do it. And yeah, yeah. And then he says, should I just go back to America? And, she kind of says, did I say that? I didn't say that. But he kind of started to interpret, like, is it going to be better if I'm just not here? which I then, like, obviously that's not what happens. We do know, like, spoiler, we do know kind of how the story ends for them. But it's just like, that would have been so bad if he did, kind of knowing where his headspace has been at certain points in his life. And it's just, that wouldn't be good. Clearly, but this is the problem. She's not capable of reading in between the lines and seeing that he is suffering mentally because she herself is suffering mentally. These are two people who are suffering mentally together because they are trauma bonded. And it's just, she can't see those signs. And I'm not to say, like, you know, when it comes to my own relationship, I can kind of see when things aren't great for him and vice versa. But we're able at certain points to be able to level off with our mental situation, our mental health, and be able to see when the other is suffering or something is going on. These two are not able to do that. These two are not able to do that because they're, like I said, trauma bonded. But that is it for Brandan and Mary. But now we are with Holly and Wade. So, as I obviously didn't discuss, but we obviously do know, they got married in the previous episode. So now we're at this current episode, and this is very short but delightful. So we see a clip of her in her veil getting stuck in the doors, like the turn doors. It got stuck, and as she's trying to rip it out, she fell. I can't get bored of that. I saw that now 3 times and I died. I saw it the first time I saw the episode, pillow talk, and then the second time I do my notes. Fucking perfect. Oh, so good. Anyway, so it's the next morning, and they did it. They consummated their marriage, and he kind of says, or she says, like, I think like you won the wife lottery, and he says, well, I think you won the husband lottery, and whatever. And he now is feeling a little arrogant about, sex, because whatever. And then he then asks her, did I satisfy you? Now, Wayne, if you need to ask, the answer is no, you didn't. Because really and truly, you should just know. Her body, her responses should have been able to tell you if you were satisfying her. You know what I mean? So again, if you have to ask, then no, you didn't. So, anyway, he says, am I the sex god that you said I am? And she says that he's really into kinky stuff, like bondage, fun. And she says that he is not vanilla by any means. Fun. But she says it will be hard, though, when her mom leaves because she still doesn't feel safe. And she just wants to have, I guess, that security blanket of her mother, because I said, like, okay, even if your mom is there, what difference does it make? She can't help you if someone comes and breaks into the house when he's not there, you know what I mean? But anyway, he says, but, you will get used to it. And she says that she doesn't want her mom to leave yet. So him trying to get his way of her leaving sooner than the 3 months, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But anyway, that's it for them. Like I said, it was very short. But Daniele and Yohan, so they're going to be going to see a life coach. Now, I know that they were in the previous episode, I think, but I can't remember a fucking thing that happened. Anyway, so they were seeing a therapist, but they stopped because he didn't want to see a therapist anymore. He brings up that they have to do things like her way. And for example, he talks about this piece of land that was being sold near his parents' home, which I think had like a house on it, but he just kind of mentions like the land. And he wanted $20,000 from Danielle in order to buy the home. And he says like it could have been like a rental property. And you said no. And she says, okay, let me clarify what you just said. You asked me for $20,000 for the property, for which then I would only then get $100 a month. That is not a sound investment. She's correct. It's not a sound investment. But I think the bigger issue is that she didn't have the $20,000 because she filed for bankruptcy, which I wonder if he even knows about. I don't know if he knows, but anyway, yeah, so that I agree with her. That's not a sound investment. And she says, I'm not going to pay for you to show off your ego. Like, I'm not going to do it. And she's like, I'm not going to fund your flex. And he says that you're not supporting me. He's, by the way, you're grown. You don't need her to support you, nor does she need you to support her. Like, I don't think he should be expecting it. I don't think the other way around. A woman should expect it. I don't think that should be ever expected. We're joining forces, but I'm not asking you to support me. I can take care of I can take care of myself. You know what I mean? And I expect you to be able to take care of yourself. What I would expect is, God forbid one or the other were to lose a job or something, that, you can take on that extra, the extra pressure, I guess, of being able to make sure that we are stable and we're doing okay. But I don't need you to support me. Anywho's, anyway, yeah, so he says, I pay for my food. I pay for, the rent. And he says, yeah, who bought you those clothes? I bought you those clothes, which is not a fair, trade-off here. But what she does, though, say is, a little later on after this, actually, and he says, I'm not going to give you another peso. You're paying for everything. The fuck you say? I would be like, okay, then you know what? You're not going to have the money. You're not going to have me. You're not going to have anything because I'm leaving you. That's not a fair trade-off. You're not against each other. You're supposed to be a team. If you can't even be a team after a few months of marriage, it's pretty sad. But, anyway, she says he pays, half for the rent in cash. And then what she ends up doing is that she does a full wire transfer from her account for the rent, and then uses the cash from him for other things that they may need. Like she'll do groceries or renting for the car and stuff like that. The light bills she'll do from that. She says, I don't need you. And he says, I don't have anything from being married. So he's saying, I don't have anything to show from this marriage. He says, I have no papers. And then he says, I want a child, and you can't give that to me naturally. Motherfucker, you knew that. You fucking knew the chances of that was low. Now, what I will say too, though, is that she also knows that. She also knows that she could not potentially give him a child naturally. And the selfish thing, or the selfless thing to do in that situation would have been to say, you know what? I can't give you what you need. And what you need more than anything is to be a father. And I can't give that to you. So I think right now we're going to have to end it. She also knows that she can't give that to him. But if you know you're with a woman in her 40s, dude, Of course she can't give that to you naturally, or better yet, it's not going to be easy for her to give that to you naturally. How fucking dare you? But that aside, the thing that cuts deeper is, as a woman, and I also don't want to go into my personal situation, but as a woman, we when we get to a point where we want to have children, or we are with someone who definitely wants to have children and we want to give that to that person, we are, every time you try and it doesn't happen, you are somewhere somehow blaming yourself for the reason it can't happen. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. And you're already dealing with that from yourself. You're really dealing with that internally. Even though you know to be patient with yourself, it will happen when it happens. But you're already dealing with that internally. But then when you don't have the support of your person, or they're saying shit like what he just told her, that is such a gut punch. And it's so hard to come back from it. So when he said this to her, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That is harsh to hear. And you can't come back from that. Personally, you can't come back from that. And that's something that she says, is like, if one of my friends was dealing with what I am dealing with right now, I would be telling them to leave. But yet here I am. It's so hard to come back from. And I think she should leave him, personally. So then she says, I don't have any words in Spanish. She said, I changed my life. I learned Spanish for you. Meanwhile, here you are now learning English, is what I want to say. But she kind of says that. But and she says, it doesn't say it, but that's what I'm saying. Not even barely trying. Barely trying. But at the same time, I have to remind myself, they've only been together a year, and English is hard to learn. Spanish is not as hard. But it's just like, come on, she's right. And then she says, enough. And says, like, I don't believe you deserve it. And she says that part in English. And she says, this is not the relationship she wants. And he says, let's be done then. What more do you need? Fuck the life coach. I'll be like, you know what? Let's turn around. We're done. We don't need a life coach anymore. We're good. Like, you've solved the issue right now, right here, by saying, fuck it, I'm done. What more do you need? But that's it. That's it for the other way for this week. Well, last week, because we're kind of starting to go into a new week now, but that's it. And again, thank you guys for being so patient with me. I'm trying to do that catch up. I'm trying to keep up with things. I feel like I'm doing a little better, especially with Papa's Blind is going to be done soon. So, but that's it for now. So if you like what you heard, please share Reality Tea ×2 with everyone in your life. That's going to help with our growth. And we really want to grow this podcast. Another way you can grow it is by also rating and reviewing us on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. The links to those podcasts, links to the Spotify and Apple Podcasts, will be in the show notes. You can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps, but if there is an app that you don't see us on, that you want to see us on, please let me know and I can get that up on that podcast app. If you are an avid YouTube user, you can listen to this podcast on YouTube by going to Reality Tea ×2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by connecting with us on either Facebook at Reality Tea ×2 or Instagram and Threads at Reality Tea ×2 podcast. You can also email us. We would love to hear from you. If you want to guest on the podcast at some point, whether we talk about your favorite show or just get to know each other, you can email us at realitytimes2@hotmail.com, and you can make that request and we can talk and we can figure that out. So you can email us at that email. We have a new website where you can get links to everything. You can get links to our Facebook page, Instagram page, Threads, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything your heart's desire, as well as we do now have a Discord. So you can follow us and talk to us on the Discord app. You can get all of that information at the website, and the website is www.solo.to/realityt2. I also have a new podcast with my friend Mikkel called Next Take Podcast, and you can either listen to us at YouTube at the link that's going to be in the show notes. I believe that is Next Take Podcast. And you can also go to our website. There you can have all the links to all of our social medias, email, everything. Our episodes as well will be at the website, which is www.solo.to/next take podcast. All of the information, everything that I have just said will be in our show notes. Well, that's it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.